This video is something of a spiritual sequel to my Minecraft Lovecraft analysis videos, so those will be linked in the description in case you haven't seen them yet. You won't have to have seen them to understand this video, but if you like this one, then you'll probably like them. With that said, let's get into it. Minecraft is deeply invested in the experiences of the player, and I think that few people would be willing to contest this fact. Every dimension is built with things to do and places to explore. The whole world is laid out before you, vast and ripe for the taking. Nothing is beyond your conquest, to the point where just about everything can be automated and exploited. It is a video game, after all. To take it one step further, one could say that Minecraft presents you with a world where you can walk around like a god, where no challenge is beyond your capabilities, where everything bends to your will alone, and what if there was a place where that wasn't the case? What if there was no more loot and monsters all carefully placed for you to slay? What if the world of Minecraft simply was, and existed not as a prize to be taken, but as a monolith, insurmountable and indifferent? Now, before I can answer that question, I must first discuss the concepts of liminality and liminal spaces. Liminal spaces have become cemented in popular culture by the explosive popularity of the Backrooms as a work of collaborative fiction, but it is this exact popular connotation which I feel has somewhat obscured the original meaning of such concepts. Put simply, liminality is a state of transition, and liminal spaces are places that often evoke a sense of unease simply due to their transitional nature. Think empty hotel corridors or gas stations at night when no one's around. These are places built intentionally, but not for habitation. You only ever pass through liminal spaces. You do not inhabit them, which is why, as something of an unspoken rule, images of liminal spaces almost never include human figures. They're almost always empty, which further adds to the sense of unease. These are places where there should be people, if only temporarily, where strangers pass by one another without a second thought. There are also liminal spaces which instead focus on the transitional state of childhood, and may evoke feelings of nostalgia as well, but for the purposes of this discussion, we'll be focusing on the first kind, places that feel like they should be occupied, though not permanently inhabited, and yet they are neither, not anymore. The Corners is a Minecraft mod that is, on its surface, deceptively simple. It adds to the game 3 dimensions, each inspired by liminal spaces, which serve to provide unique worlds for the player to explore. All are accessible through special paintings, which must be lit with a flint and steel to enter, but each is unique in its construction. One is a sprawling complex of yellow-beige rooms, clearly inspired by the Backrooms, although it diverges from its inspirations in the contents of the rooms. Some are clearly bedrooms, others are closets, and some house radios that softly play crackling music that echoes through the empty vastness. Occasionally you will find false windows that seem to reveal a dark and snowy expanse beyond, but smashing through these windows only reveals more rooms. Contrary to general video game logic, there are no great treasures or monsters to be found here. There are no secrets to discover or goals to conquer. Breaking through the roof simply reveals the empty vastness of this bizarre world, and beneath the floor is only void. There's nothing here for you, nor does this realm pretend that there is. It isn't predatory or deceptive, it simply is, regardless of your preconceived notions of what it should be. You probably won't stay long, and that's okay. It wasn't built for you. In the short story An Inhabitant of Carcosa, written by Ambrose Bierce, the narrator awakens from a sickness-induced slumber to find himself alone in the wilderness. It is cold, but he doesn't feel the cold. He only recalls the elaborate and ancient city of Carcosa, which surely he should still be within, but instead he is alone. As he goes searching for the city, he finds graves and tombs, all overgrown and broken. He is passed by animals and by a human figure, who all ignore his pleas, as though he is not there at all. And somewhere in this, he discovers that it is night, but it does not appear dark to him. At long last, confused and afraid, he collapses beside a tombstone that, upon reading the inscription, he realizes is his own. He is dead, and this place around him is Carcosa, or at least it was. The great city has fallen. Carcosa is dead. So, what does this mean, and what does it have to do with Minecraft or liminal spaces? Firstly, one can draw some immediate parallels between the story and the concepts of liminality. The place where the narrator wakes up is largely empty, and the only other human is silent and merely passing through, a stranger. I wouldn't say that the ruins of Carcosa as expressed within the tale are a traditional liminal space, but much the same feelings of wrongness and loss are evoked by the text. No signs of human life were anywhere visible nor audible, no rising smoke, no watchdogs bark, no lowing of cattle, no shouts of children at play, nothing but that dismal burial place, with its air of mystery and dread, due to my own disordered brain. Was I not becoming again delirious, there beyond human aid? Was it not indeed all an illusion of my madness? I called aloud the names of my wives and sons, reaching out my hands in search of theirs, even as I walked among the crumbling stones and in the withered grass. Abandonment and liminality often go hand in hand. After all, as some of the most famous liminal spaces are often abandoned malls and empty hotels. Here, Carcosa may have been built for habitation at one point, but now its ruins are merely places where things wander through. It is not inhabited, save for by the memories of the dead. Going back to the concept of death, it isn't much of a stretch to understand the city of Carcosa as an afterlife akin to the biblical heaven. The city is ancient and famous and incredible and seemingly occupied only by the dead. The narrator believes himself to have dwelt there, but upon waking after his death, he finds all is in ruins. Heaven has been destroyed, and now there remains nothing but broken stones. The same feeling of unfulfilled promises can be readily applied to the Corners mod, even if the mod itself never claimed that the dimensions would hold anything for you. You are accustomed to worlds made for conquering. You are accustomed to living, after all, but only death and memories lurk in the worlds of the Corners. In another dimension from the Corners, you find vast walls and pathways, all covered in snow and extending high above the void. It's dark as though it is night, but the snow still shines. All is empty and vast. The day, I thought, must be far advanced, though the sun was invisible, and although sensible that the air was raw and chill, my consciousness of that fact was rather mental than physical. I had no feeling of discomfort. Over all the dismal landscape, a canopy of low, lead-colored clouds hung like a visible curse. In all this there were a menace and a portent, a hint of evil, an intimation of doom. Bird or beast or insect, there was none. Much like Carcosa, this place is only a shadow of what it might have been, and again there is nothing here for you. There are shadows and memories, and surely you will not stay long. Moving to the final dimension, you may discover a new purpose, as at the heart of this one stands a tower of incredible height, 2,000 blocks from the base to the summit. Here is a challenge, something to head toward, steps to climb. In the poem Carcosa by Gustave Nadad, the narrator is an old man who has dreamt his whole life of visiting the beautiful city of Carcosa, yet when he finally sets out on the journey, he dies before reaching it. Perhaps the road to Carcosa never really led anywhere at all. In much the same way, when you finally reach the top of the tower from the Corners, there is nothing to find, only more emptiness, and if you chose to follow any of the diverging paths, they go on for forever. Only emptiness and abandon is here. It was never meant for the living, after all. To tie everything together, we will need to look at these three dimensions as part of a greater whole. It isn't much of a stretch to imagine how they might fit together as broken parts of a city, walls and towers, vast rooms and spaces that might have been inhabited once. This is Carcosa, or Carcosa, or heaven, or whatever you want to call it, and it is, in a strange way, an afterlife. After you've lived in your Minecraft world, after you tamed all of nature and raised incredible monuments in your name, you may find yourself here, where nothing matters, where all is ruin and emptiness. For a game where you can always just respawn, death must be voluntary. You must step through the painting, into Carcosa, and in doing so you will discover that this afterlife is hardly a life at all, for it too has died. And even if you leave and return to your home, or even if you never chose to leave home at all, these broken worlds, the ruins of Carcosa, will be there in the background, unchanging and no less infinite than the world you know. It isn't made for you, but given enough time, you may just find yourself called to the ancient and famous city, a stranger, simply passing through. Thank you so much for watching. I plan to get some more narrative-style videos out soon, but I do have a few more interesting ideas for analysis. If there's something specific you want to see, do make sure to comment and let me know. I'll see you next time. Also, just for the sake of clarity, I did not make the Corners mod, I'm just a big fan, and there will be a link in the description so that you can download it and support the original creators. Thanks.